Post-millennial, Texas House Greenlights arrest warrants for Democrats who fled the state to avoid redistricting vote. Texas Democrat lawmakers have defied Governor Greg Abbott's deadline to return to the state legislature to allow a vote on redistricting congressional boundaries. As a result, Abbott has ordered for those members to be arrested. Abbott warned late Sunday that he would pursue legal action to remove the lawmakers from office if they fail to return to Austin by Monday, August 4th, 2025, to vote on the proposal. Abbott on Monday also directed the Texas Rangers to investigate fleeing Texas House Democrats for potential bribery and any other potential legal violations connected to their refusal to appear for a quorum, conduct business, and cast votes, Abbott said. That investigation should extend to anyone who aided or abetted such potential crimes. Abbott's pressure follows a walkout by Democrats seeking to deny the Texas House a quorum, the minimum number of legislators required to conduct business. By leaving the state, Democrats effectively froze all legislative activity during a special session set to expire later this month. The primary objective was to halt a GOP-drawn congressional map that could secure 5 additional U.S. House seats for Republicans in the 2026 midterm elections. All right, so normally, the redistricting happens after the census, which is scheduled for 2030, I believe. So the fact that the Republicans are looking to do redistricting now, it is early, clearly. But I don't know if there's any kind of historical precedent for this. Can you actually speak to this?
Yeah, I can't name the exact instances, but it's not unprecedented and it's not federally prohibited. It's unusual. It's unorthodox. And this is kind of what they're standing on right now. But certainly when, you know, in my experience and what I've read about, when there's a huge population shift, which there has been in Texas, especially since 2020, we're talking about the pandemic, we're talking about people fleeing blue states like New York and California primarily and heading to Texas. This is obviously something that would be advantageous for, you know, the Republican Party. They're looking, they see that there's a lot more red that there was before. And quite frankly, if we're talking about a democratic republic, then the people who live there should be represented fairly by their congressional map. And that's what they're going for. 2030 is quite a long ways away. And they want to give the people their proper representation in Congress. So
there's a lot of argument that I hear from the Democrats that are like, oh, well, you know, this is not right. There shouldn't be gerrymandering, and gerrymandering is so bad and such a big deal. But yet, gerrymandering has been the norm literally since this third president, right? Madison's vice president, I forget his last name was Jerry, and that's where the term gerrymandering comes from. This is something that the Democrats have actually mastered, and they've really squeezed as much of the juice out of the process of gerrymandering as they possibly can. So this is a reaction to a change in the demographic or in the population by the Republicans, and the Democrats are really in a position where they can't do anything about it. Isn't that the case?
That is the case. And unfortunately, their hands are tied because they know that the maps are going to be drawn against them because that's who lives in the state. Now, it's extremely hypocritical. If you look at any blue state map, Illinois is a great example of gerrymandering gone crazy. Yep. New York is another great example. Why would Jerry Nadler's district be in South Brooklyn and then also on the Upper West Side? It's kind of wild, but they know what they're doing. So for them to come out and say like this is unconstitutional and this is wrong, it's like we need to remember who the pot is and who the kettle is in this situation. It is how it's been done, as you said, for quite a long time. And it's part of the game. Is it fair? I mean, I think that we can all look at times, depending on your own political stripes, where you would say that's not fair. Absolutely, because it's going to work against me. But at the end of the day, and I think that even when, as a conservative, even when I'm in the defensive and I see that there's a lot of blue people, you see a state like New York, it's sad that it's become what it's become, but it is there. They have that representation. They have the voters to support that kind of thing. And Texas has the same thing now. Yeah,
and to be fair, it's not that just the Democrats have gerrymandered districts. It's something that the Republicans have done as well, which is part of the reason why I think it stems from the fact that, it is such a foundational piece of American politics, that the fact that changing the district to better produce the results that you want, you want to see is something that has been happening for almost as long as we've had the Republic. I mean, what do you think, Shane? Do you think this is something that we can actually expect reasonable discourse over, or is it going to be just people running around with their heads on
reasonable
fire?
Discourse?
I'm asking.
With these people?
I'm asking.
No, they're screeching because they're not in power, and I think they have to yield this power right now. I think Texas is turning purple. It might be purple, right? Like, so they do what they have to do. You're talking about New York, my old state. Those people in upstate New York are not represented. The city changes the entire vote. So it feels like when you're living there on upstate New York, or anything north of the city, there's pockets of blue here and there, but it's completely wasted. Your vote means nothing because New York City ruins it. But yeah, it's another victim of redistricting and everything. So reasonable discourse, I don't think you can expect anything reasonable from the left and the right to some degree as well. Because right now we're like, Hochul's literally calling this a war. She's using that kind of language. So, I'm not surprised that they're going to act this way. That's what they do when they're freaking out.
I mean, she's right. I mean, you got to play the game. I mean, like the GOP, like you look at North Carolina, that's probably like one of the worst examples of gerrymandering in the country. And that was us. That was the GOP. But it's like, yeah, you got to play the game, because if you put your tools down, they're not. And they feel the other way around. It's pretty annoying seeing some Republicans that are like, guys, we're the party of principles. We can't fall into this trap.
Principles.
It's like we're gonna principle our way into destruction.
Principled our way into this.
Yeah.
Principles lose. Period. I mean, if you're too principled to play the game that's being played, you will lose. The people that want to be left alone will lose to the people that want to actually exercise power every single time. And I see it all the time, especially, as a reformed libertarian. Like the libertarians love to say, well, I'm a libertarian and you don't do that. We don't use the government for this and we don't use the government for that. And I would love if that were the reality that we live in.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't live in that reality. We live in the world where if you don't exercise power when you have access to power, you can guarantee that your political foes are going to exercise power. And that is going to possibly destroy your way of life.
And they're not afraid to use that.
Not at all.
They love using that power. That's why they're screeching so crazy right now, because they're out of power to some degree, and they're losing their minds. And they're going to rile up their base to make it sound like this is worse than Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
This is D-Day all over again.
Yeah.
That's the language they constantly use to scare people.
Yeah.
So but one second, we got this video from Texas Representative. Hold on one second. Here we go.
Being 85 ayes and 6 nays, the motion prevails. The Sergeant-at-Arms and any officers appointed by her are directed to send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purposes of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary until further order of the House. Members, under the rules, while the House is under a call, any member who wishes to leave the hall must have written permission of the Speaker. The chair is providing written permission to be entered in the journal for each member registered as present on today's roll call to leave the chamber and return tomorrow at 1 p.m. Please return at the appointed time.
Based. Yeah.
So
The gavel's great.
Gavel's based in the little Jeopardy bell. Or
It's like clownishly
Fortune,
big.
yeah.
I mean, this is a great example of, exercising power when you have it. If they follow through, of course. It's one thing to make remarks from the floor of the State House. It's different to actually have things in motion and actually happening. But I personally would love to see, the Texas representatives that left. I'd love to see them get arrested. I think it'd be civil, so it'd be some kind of slap on the wrist. No one's going to actually spend any time in jail.
Agreed, but they're also going to use it if they're smart. It's good PR for them. Getting arrested now, politicians getting arrested, the mugshot, it's great PR. I don't know if that PR will help them in their path the way it helped Trump with his path, his mugshot, but they see that as a way of moving forward.
Yeah, we had Tony Ortiz on the show today. Current Revolt's like a Texas paper exclusively.
Oh, yeah.
He was talking about like exactly what you're saying is that, okay, yeah, it's going to be great for us, but also Trump's the big boogeyman for them. And so being prosecuted by Trump is going to be such a play for you if you're.
Yeah, it looks
for
good
office.
for your base.
Does this turn into, does this activate the base in the same way that Trump's mugshot activated the conservative base?
I think they've lost a lot of capital in that. I think that 4 years ago, yes. I think during the first Trump administration, yes. And in fact, they did this 4 years ago in 2021 over a voting ID law. And And the threats came, it kind of fizzled out. They returned, they voted. It was over. I mean, and even then they got more attention then. And I remember, I think I was working at Fox then, and we covered it, and it was like, like these guys like leaving town and camping out in Illinois or wherever they were. Yeah, DC. Yeah. And they did it before long ago. In like 2003, they did it twice over redistricting. Yeah. So this is a card that they know how to play. And I think, unfortunately, they're not going to see the return. I mean, I could be wrong, but
I think you're right. I think gerrymandering doesn't rile up their base as much as like abortion does.
No. Right.
Well, and also like this is not a good gauge of base either, because the only reason this happens so much in Texas, this really only happens in Texas, is because for a quorum you need 2/3 to be present, where pretty much every other state's half. So they could pull this card basically like over, if they changed the lunchtime or something, they could,
What does Beto O'Rourke think, though? Someone I really need to hear from.
Eating the Illinois dirt, it seemed like tastes like. Yeah, it's probably nice.
Beto O'Rourke heard that the Democrats were running, and he's like, I'm running too.
Yeah. He's in it, man.
He's eating the dirt up in Chicago. It's got like casings in it.
He was dying to do anything at all to be a public figure. He tried everything, Senate, state rep, and he lost everything. And I can't.
He won the first time. I mean, he was in Congress, and he gave that up. His ambitions got too big.
Well,
they gave David Hogg more power than they gave Beto O'Rourke.
They did, didn't they?
It's brutal.
Brutal.
That
it's
is
also
brutal.
interesting. You've seen a lot of white people pretend to be black, but when have you ever seen a white person LARP as Hispanic? I mean, Alec Baldwin's wife, and then
Hilaria, yeah.
and that's it. That's like the two big ones. So.
Ito.
Ito.
With the ice, it's tougher these days.
It's more dangerous.
Yeah, you gotta watch yourself.
Oh no, my name's Robert. Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.